So,
You know, that's sad. I feel for that mother because she is really the face of what I'm trying to address in this community. And if we're able to improve our transportation network, we can reduce the amount of time it takes her to get to work and to go home each day by having more frequency, more connectivity, and she will be able to regain those precious hours that she loses every day where she's not able to spend time with her own family. So that's precisely what I'm trying to do in this community. It can be done, and it can be done if we have a good plan, and it will cost some dollars to be able to do it. But I believe right away, the first things that we will begin to improve is the transit associated with the Lynx bus system as well as the Sunrail system. I believe that the people who depend on that mode of transportation are impacted the most by the lack of having a robust transit system here. The rest of us will benefit also, but that is the primary group that I'm trying to benefit the most.
and why should folks who don't rely on public transportation care about this?
If you own a business, you should care about it. If you have children, grandchildren, you should care about it. If you want to be a good neighbor, a good steward of God's green earth, you should care about this.
And I did mention it. We've talked about the Mobility 2020, that it did fail. What are you going to do if this doesn't pass?
Well, first, I'm an optimist. I've spent a lot of time. I have now had nearly 150 different conversations in our community between town halls and the like during the last few months, and I'm going to continue to do that. So I've received a lot of feedback. So what I'm saying to you is that my sense of it is we can get this football across the goal line in November of this year if we do a good job of communicating to the public how we all will benefit together. And so I believe we're there. We're at a critical point in our community where people now are frustrated with the traffic congestion that we have. They tell me that at each one of these sessions that I'm engaged in, and they tell me that they want us to solve it. And so I'm recommending this as the best solution at this time to be able to solve this challenge for decades to come.
And this goes into a couple viewer questions. Do you mind if I pull them up really quick? Because
Sure.
Viewers have questions that I have, but I figured why not get them from the horse's mouth? So, nothing too hard, Mayor, I promise. So, James says, yes, the public transportation here sucks. Why is the mayor trying to raise the sales tax instead of a tourist tax? Tourists are the ones that clog the city and should cover the expense.
What I would say to James is that we're not leaving the tourists out. In fact, with this sales tax, more than 51% of it will be paid by the tourists. Other models of potential revenue sources leaves out certain demographics that we really need. We need not hundreds of millions, but we need billions of dollars to be able to address this. And the tourist development tax that we have today is already full of pressure in terms of the needs of our community to continue having tourists come here. And so we need a new revenue source. If I could simply substitute the tourist development tax proceeds to be able to do this, I certainly would do this. This is a complex issue that I have studied. I've studied the other cities around the world, the other world-class communities that I'm talking about, and every one of them have a dedicated funding source for transportation when you are a metropolitan community. We do not.
Right. Both Sunrail and Lynx told me yesterday that they really don't have any plans to change anything right now, and they really are banking on this 1 cent sales tax.
Sadly, I have to say that without it, we as a community would have unrealistic expectations of the improvement of the delivery of service for both links and the commuter rail or the Sun Rail system here. Without this, it becomes extremely difficult to have the type of impact that we really need to have that will be lasting for decades into the future.
And my last question, and this is actually my curiosity, why can't we find other funding, and why can't we really use that tourism tax dollars for the transportation?
There is no shortage of demand for the county tax payer revenues that we currently have. Many of them are restricted funds. They can only be used for certain things. In terms of our roadway improvements and resurfacing and street lighting and pedestrian safety projects that we have, they're all way behind because we don't have enough funding to take care of that today. With this source, we not only would be able to do something transformative for Orange County, but I believe that this will have a regional impact as well.
Thank you for sitting with me.
Okay, thank you.
What do you think about it? You know there's stories like that out there, right?
Oh yeah, there's stories out there. There's not a day that goes by somebody doesn't ask me a question about the sales tax or housing. These two issues are interrelated. She can't afford an automobile at making $12.50 an hour or whatever she said that she makes here. I'm trying to really influence that as well. We're going to see the minimum wages for our community go up. I was in Tallahassee yesterday and I had a conversation with some employees of one of the big box stores, and they told me that next year they are going to increase the minimum pay for their employees to $15 an hour. So this is happening in our community. So we have led by example. Of course, next year all full-time or permanent employees with Orange County will make a minimum of $15 an hour. Mayor Dyer from the city of Orlando has made the same commitment. Many of our theme parks have made that commitment. So what is going to happen is we are going to drive, I think, the wages up in our community, but we also have to diversify our economy to have more high-wage jobs. As we get into manufacturing, technology types of jobs, those jobs sometimes require a certain skill set, but it's a skill that you can learn quickly, and they pay significant dollars. So in order to attract those types of manufacturing companies here to our area, they look at the amenities that you have. They look at your education system, they look at your ready workforce, they look at your transportation system, they look at the access to quality health care, they look at quality housing. So all of those things are the things that we are really trying to address here in this community.
And it all ties together. Yeah.
It all ties together. And for that mother that we saw, we should have the kind of pathway in the job that she's doing for her to be able to move up. If she was able to recover the anywhere from 4 to 7 hours that she loses each day just in transit, just think about if she had that time to maybe invest in going to school to learn a skill, just how that could be impactful for her and her entire family.